a video about getting married. Imagine getting married in this economy.
One of the most important events in a person's life, where two people profess their undying love to one another, vowing to stay together till death do them apart.
While
with two
also becoming
individuals,
broke.
under God's grace, unifying into one, celebrated by a grand ceremony and party known as a wedding. But this is the Balkans.
Oh my god. It's also very true. Our weddings are something else, man.
The Balkans indeed are a magical place.
To be fair, I say our weddings are something else, but I will be honest in saying that I have seen traditions from like Poland that are very interesting and weird. Then I have seen traditions from Norway. What the fuck, man? They have sniffa. They literally have sniffa. They take the groom and cut the socks off and leave the toesies out for you to sniff. I'm just like, what the fuck? And they are like, no, Balkan weddings are weird, man. I'm like, I have seen weird wedding traditions from all across the globe. I do not think our weddings are that different anymore.
Where the average person's diet consists of a slab of meat, coffee, and 5 cigarettes, and all the laws of physics cease to exist. As such, it is no surprise that weddings here are a bit different. Being in a region that has been plagued by war, death, destruction, and presidents coming out of a fridge, a wedding is one of the events that brings enormous amounts of hope and reason for celebration. Thus, unlike the ones in the West, which are only celebrated for a couple of hours before a couple officially start their countdown to divorce, in the Balkans
Come on! Start the countdown for divorce! Oh my god.
Wedding is not for soft little sissies, and is celebrated the entire day, by the end of which one's liver will be more shriveled up than a mudskipper in the Sahara, and you'll
sometimes
wake up
3
in
days.
a hospital hooked up to dialysis. The celebration will usually start in the morning, where the most important character of the event, the best man, or more colloquially the kume ludzki maksimume, comes to the groom's house, and as soon as he's through the door, he starts drinking. After he's had enough alcohol with the groom and their blood that neither of the two can no longer drive, the entirety of the groom's family heads to the bride's house. On their way there, they're followed by a trumpet band known as the Trubachi, who will play the entire time so that the entire neighborhood goes deaf and the bride can hear the two drunkards coming. After they
I like how in this wedding they're actually walking. Don't forget the fact that we also have a bunch of bloody cars, and all the cars are like decorated with like random shit on them, balloons and cans to make noise, and they all keep honking.
They reach her house. The Koom, like the Giga Chad he is, will walk into her humble abode and start begging her and her bride of honor, known as the Kumitsa, to let her out. Being the stuck-up bitches they are, they'll refuse. So then, the Koom, getting rich off of crypto and placing his bets on 27 red in roulette, will take out a fat stack of cash and start haggling with the Kumitsa to buy the bride. If the Koom has superhuman riz...
This one varies from region to region, I feel like. Because we have a variant where you literally kidnap the bride and then they have to go ransom her. And I know like one of the brides got kidnapped and went to a freaking club and the guys couldn't find them. It was so weird because it extended the entire thing by like, I don't know, at least 4 hours of searching for the bride. Like, they could not find the bride to buy her back. And people are like, are we calling the wedding off? Is everything okay?
And is an avid fan of Farming Simulator, he'll straight up bring up an entire tractor tire worth several thousands of euros to trade in for the bride.
Yeah,
After
the people who stole her
sells
failed.
Her best friend for what she's worth, the bride will come out, and some madman from one side of the family will take out a gun and start shooting in the air to celebrate, while the trumpet band continues screaming and exacerbating the hearing loss of the entire street.
Oh
Upon which,
god.
both of the families will take some more shots of hard liquor that Grandpa brewed in the backyard and slowly start making their way to the church for the procession. The church procession, if you're Serbian, is pretty standard, like anywhere else in the world. You come in, the priest says what he needs to, you give your vows, standard shit.
Oh, standard shit. You'd hope it was standard shit, man. The church part is literally so extra. Like, bruh, the amount of stuff that I'm witnessing in the church for weddings, I'm just like, please, let it be over.
Except for that the priest puts on a crown on the bride and the groom. However, if you're Hungarian, not so much. For some godforsaken reason, the priests at Hungarian weddings like to use the ceremony to LARP as if they're on the Joe Rogan podcast and get into schizo ramblings about migrants, divorce, the upcoming world war, wokeism in America, and the declining youth. These guys will just keep going on and splicing things about God while...
Like, seriously, Jesus Christ. I went to like my best friend's wedding and her priest just kept yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping. And after that, they made them like kind of like rotate around the table a bunch. Sorry, around the altar. And then they yapped even more. And I like, holy shit, the church part was like pain. Because everyone else had to stand. There was no space in the church to sit down. People are like, oh, you have benches, it's not that bad. No, you don't. You just stand.
Rambling about the most random shit ever that your grandpa wouldn't even bring up on your family gathering.
Yep.
All the while the guests are trying to keep a serious face on. At one wedding, the priest brought up how some Indian researchers were studying the Hungarians and discovered how they were actually the first ever people in the world. And that in fact, the Hungarian nation and race are the greatest one walking the earth. After the Hungarian ceremony would be finished in the church, everyone would go outside. The married couple coming out last would then throw either candy or coins at the guests.
Don't people come to the church for that thing exactly? No. First of all, our country, at least my country, is religious. So pretty much it's expected by your in-laws, by grandfather, grandmother, whatever, like the old folk. They all expect for you to have a religious wedding. So you have to have one. It doesn't matter why, you just have to, okay? Your entire family expects you to have one. Second of all, it's the place where you get to actually look very pretty and fancy, and everyone else gets to be humbled by your looks and the fact that you just take half the town hostage while you're doing it, especially if it's at like countryside. And then the most important part is the fact that usually after the whole church ceremony, you get to like feast with your entire family somewhere nearby, which is the part that everyone wants out of their wedding, because that's the part that people actually care about. The celebration of afterwards. No one cares about the part of the church. Okay, I say no one loosely. Of course, there are people that care a lot about the religious aspect, but like people that don't care about the religious aspect, they want it over with. But you're forced to be there. You are forced. It does not matter if you don't care, you don't believe, you have to sit there. A lot of the times, they will talk about random shit, just like in this video, right? And you just sit there and you nod. And you just sit there and you nod and you wait.
More often than not, tracking the camera lens of the wedding photographers. The funny thing is, the local homeless population always gather around the church whenever they hear wedding bells.
Or funerals. Both. Weddings and funerals. Homeless people love them.
So, as soon as the coins start getting thrown, they rush to pick up as many as they can and then scurry away. And after the church ordeal is done, is when the real fun begins.
Exactly.
For some reason, that even after 24 years of wandering this godforsaken earth, I still don't understand. Balkaners always, and I mean always, hold their wedding reception in the most kitsch event hall that can usually be found in the most ghetto, rundown part of town, where even the most ruthless hitman from the Crips would be scared shitless to enter. And if it's not in the ghetto, then it's located in some industrial part of the city where just spending 5 minutes is enough to develop, carcinoma. Now,
this was so accurate, man! Oh, trying to find a nice venue is honestly pain in the butt. Most places you go to and you're wondering whether you're gonna get attacked or if you're in the right alleyway or if you took the right turn.
These places, although located in a shitty part of town and on the outside seem like Minecraft warehouses, on the inside they are filled with some of the most kitsch modern furniture imaginable.
Yep.
You'd think came out of a Russian oligarch's house, and the interior is larger than the observable universe.
Yep.
Which I guess is necessary considering on average between 100 to 200 people attend a Balkan wedding.
Average? I feel like, okay, maybe average, but usually they're even bigger than that, man. It's like, this is a budget wedding at 100 and 200. This is kind of like very budget.
Hell, sometimes even over 300 if the newlyweds really want to flex on their village. Of course, no Balkan wedding hall would be complete without live entertainment, which usually comes in the form of a
Yeah, like 100 to 100 is close family. Usually that. It's like, I say close family, but it's like most of your family, like first degree cousins level of closeness.
40-year-old turbofolk singer who's had more Botox injected into her face that she physically can no longer express any emotion, while her ass makes Kim Kardashian's look as if she has a Japanese schoolgirls. The singer is followed by a band of a couple of severely out-of-shape middle-aged men who play the keyboard and the accordion. And as you all can tell, the only music they'll play is Balkan brain rot, aka turbofolk, which after hearing once, you'll think there's no greater offense to music and God. But after 5 shots, you'll go,
no, don't worry, it gets worse. It gets worse than this, don't worry about it.
and think it is the best thing in the world and nothing else comes even close to it. However, on the off chance that the newlyweds don't host their reception at a wedding hall, then most likely the wedding will be held in some village house or ranch in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, which has been converted to an ethno restaurant and is ran by 3 old fat women who do everything from cooking to the cleaning and catering. In that case, instead of playing turbofolk, there's a good chance that instead there will be a traditional band, or if you're extremely lucky, a gypsy band that will play the greatest music you'll ever hear in your life. Either way, no matter what
that is so true, man. That was my best friend's wedding. It was in the middle of fucking nowhere. I went there by train. I got there, and Jesus Christ, the music was something else. Not to mention the entire region was renowned for the fact that men would technically hit the ladies a lot. And then you had the ladies arm themselves with pots. So that was extra fun. People were like, yes, I like how you recognize the area from just the description. Vaslui, indeed. I like how my chat's just like, Vaslui. Yes. Armed with pots, yes. You guys think we have guns here? No, we're old school. We have bats, clubs, usually pots and pans and chains. The chains are meant to be used on dogs. Like a lot of people have dogs chained up in the yard, right? But don't worry, the chain also works on your man. Yeah. Like, you don't want to know our 6 p.m. news, okay? Our 6 p.m. news from those regions are something else. It's something to wonder at.
Music is playing, every single one of the guests will be completely drunk before even the first chord is done playing. Which is no surprise considering that the majority of the gifts brought by the guests are alcohol, which the newlyweds will immediately open and serve everyone with. Alongside the bottles brought in from guests and that have been provided by the caterers, the legendary wooden flask rakia will also be served, which has been sitting in the deepest parts of the basement for years.
Oh man, our weddings don't really have rakia that much, but we do have weird moonshine from your grandfathers and their grandfathers and ooh.
aging and growing ever more potent in ABV. This bottle will be easily recognizable as like any important Balkan artifact. It carries the coat of arms of whatever mental asylum the newlyweds had the misfortune to be born in. Of course, no Balkan wedding would be complete without food. When the guests first come to the hall, they're served with the pre appetizer, which usually consists of confectionery sweets such as Mozart balls, chocolate mini cakes, wafer cookies, and kifle, which usually the matriarchs of the family spent the entire day making the day before. After the first initial round of drinking is done, the guests are then served with the appetizer, which is a shit ton of cold cuts, cheese, spread, and of course Russian salad, which is
We have so much food, man, for wedding stuff.
more mayonnaise than salad.
But this is usually more in a like you don't really get this too much in places where you rent the venue, right? Because they bring their own menu and the appetizers there don't tend to be as nice as these. I say nice because genuinely, like having them made by your family tends to be like 10 times better than the caterer food, usually.
But no important celebration of Balkans is
Unless my
complete
aunt
without
makes it,
Then
then
after
stay
that
away.
comes the main course, which is either sour soup with lemon, chicken breast, veggies, and sour cream.
I am still very much shocked over the fact that there are so many people that don't know that soup can be sour. It is still shocking to me.
Or soup with galushka dumplings, which then is finally preceded by ungodly amounts of barbecue from every animal imaginable, which will lie on a couple of measly leaves of lettuce and be topped with a fuckload of fries. And if you're from God's chosen country,
And more
Hungary,
meat.
then alongside this, you're also served a bowl of gulyás as well, because obesity
goulash.
is a national sport there.
Mi lehet az oka annak, hogy ennyire
Really?
sok az elhízott ember, és hogy egyre több és több...
Miért kurva a legjobb ország a világon vagyunk? Mi a fasz a demokrácia? Orbán bácsi! Orbán bácsi! And then finally comes the dessert. Naturally, like in any wedding, this will be a multi-layer wedding cake. But what's different compared to other weddings is that instead of everyone just eating one cake, the guests also bring their own one-layer cakes they made the day before for everyone to share. So then, on top of all the previous exorbitant amounts of food, there's also a metric ton of cake to pick and choose from as well. After all the food has been
Interesting. We
dealt with
actually
and
didn't
everyone has
have that
developed type 2
tradition.
diabetes, everyone returns to drinking and regular festivities. Except in Hungary. Now, for other Balkaners, as
Poor
I mentioned
Hungary,
before,
man.
the kum is the most important player at the wedding. In Hungary, although still important, he is relegated, and the main man of the show is the vőfi. The vőfi essentially serves as the wedding organizer and is sort of like the host that entertains the guests and makes sure that everything goes smoothly. Unlike the other guests who wear basic outfits like a suit and tie,
He has to be
tuxedo,
sober.
The vőfi comes to the wedding wearing traditional Hungarian clothes and carries an excessively large stick, which is decorated with a bunch of other ribbons he got from each wedding he organized, serving as badges of honor. And after everyone has been fed and their thirst for Jahim juice has been satiated, the vőfi will then step in and organize several games. Now, these games can range from a
God,
variety of
not
different
these
forms.
games,
Some of the
man.
most popular ones are where the couple has to sit against one another and exchange their shoes. And then the vőfi interrogates them by asking them personal questions about which one of them does something more.
There are some regions that do have it, a ceremony master, but not in my region, no. I don't, like, generally speaking, we don't have someone in charge of just organizing the thing.
And to answer, they have to raise the shoe of their partner. Another is when the vőfi orders the guests to try and steal the bride's shoe.
We do have all these games, though. There's not one single person organizing it, but we do have those games. It was very interesting to see striptease lap dance for the groom for the bride at my best friend's wedding. I did not need to see the groom undress so much, but yeah.
Throughout the day.
Whatever
and
floats
for them
their
to get
boat,
hang.
right?
To get it back, then the parents or bride either have to do a challenge, such as sing or drink more alcohol. Either way,
Was
no
he
matter
hot?
the game,
No.
it will always involve either alcohol or something with
You can't ask me if he's hot. He's my best friend's husband, man. What can I say? Can I be like, yes, he's hot. Do you want me to die? To be lynched by my best friend? The only answer you can say is no. No, I mean, like, memes aside, right? I am not the type of person that just looks at someone and goes, okay, you're hot or you are not hot. It really depends on, for me, it matters a lot to interact with the person beforehand. And I didn't get to interact a lot with that dude. Like, I don't know much about him except the fact that he stole my best friend. That's all I know about him. He stole my best friend. So no, he's not hot. He's a thief.
Feet, because for some reason, every buffet has an unexplainable foot fetish. Finally, after midnight strikes, more food is brought out again, the Serbs shoot more guns in the air, and the party goes on until 3 or 4 a.m. If there were any kids, by this time they'd all fall asleep on several chairs put together and be completely out despite the music blasting harder than an AC/DC concert. By the end of it all, when everyone is getting ready to go home, all the excess food gets packed up in Tupperware and handed out to the guests, and the wedding finally comes to an end. And yeah, that would be your typical Balkan wedding. Have you ever been to one? What has been your
Several.
experience? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, as always, click
Oh
that like
my
and subscribe button.
god.
And if you
This
really
was a
liked
funny
it,
one, though.
consider becoming a member like these wonderful people. My name is Janos, and you watched Living Around a Clean Europe.
It was honestly pretty funny to experience the different cultural weddings. I'm telling you, like, you think these are weird, but I have seen way weirder weddings from the West. But yeah, it was a really funny video and quite amusing. Though I'm slightly concerned about Hungary now. Just slightly. Oh, man. Weddings.